me and Michelle for Resistance Chicks. It is February 17th, 2017. We are back to the BBC.
We're back to the BBC, you see. Sebastian Gorka, he is an advisor to President Donald Trump, and he lays it in and lays it on thick for this BBC fake news anchor, and I thought that we would go with him into disgusting. I'm sorry.
It's vile.
Discussing Donald Trump's putrid news conference yesterday,
which was fantastic.
And fantastic, by the way. So let's just get right in it.
Cheerio.
Well, we're joined by Sebastian Gorka now, who's Deputy Assistant to President Trump from within the team there. Very good evening to you. Do you think his press conference was a bit unhinged, Mr. Gorka?
I think it's pathetic that the BBC would use words of that nature and also the adjective weird. It's only weird to journalists like yourself who are biased. I mean, Brian Stelter is your...
Can I just say that he has much of a Porsche accent?
...authority. This is a man who on CNN by his own media colleague Michael Wolff was called ridiculous for his obsession for attacking President Trump. This is a man who I'd ask your viewers to just Google Brian Stelter, fake news Delta Airlines, who propagates himself absurdities on the media. So, no, it was a fabulous press conference.
It was fabulous.
Right. Can I just ask you a couple of factual questions? For his initial words, which went on quite a few minutes, his opening statement, had he made notes on that and prepared that, or did he just go in and busk it?
Busk it.
He's fabulous on his feet, so he doesn't need to. If you watch his campaign rallies, this is the man who in any one day would go to 9 different sites, sometimes in 4 different states. He doesn't need an auto cue. He revels in this. And what we saw today was the old Donald Trump from the campaign trail, and it was fabulous.
It was fabulous.
And did he game some of the questions with his team? Did he sit there saying, now what questions are we going to get? What's the answer? Or did he literally just said, I'm going to go out there, confront these guys and give them hell?
No, the president doesn't need to, but of course he has a whole press team. We have amazing people here that write talking points. Believe it or not, I have talking points for this interview. I don't need to use them, but we have a team that writes them.
Right. Now look, there was this moment in there where he made this claim, completely false claim, about his electoral college win was the biggest since Reagan, and then turned out that Clinton, Bush and Obama all had bigger electoral college wins. I guess I'm interested in how some mistake like that creeps in, because this is a man, President Trump, who looks carefully at these things. What was going on there? What do you think was going on there when he made that mistake?
I think you're getting a little bit obsessive yourself. If you actually listen to the tape that you just played, he said, I guess I had the largest. It wasn't an unequivocal statement of fact. The bottom line is he trounced Hillary Clinton, and it was organizations like CNN, the New York Times, and even the BBC who said Clinton is a shoo-in. The Huffington Post said she had a 92% chance of winning. That's fake news, and the BBC shouldn't be a hostage to it.
Mr. Gorka, what is really striking is, and it was striking in the press conference as well, that there's a sort of tendency to leap back to the election campaign, to bang on about Hillary Clinton and her weaknesses, the way that you've just gone on about the way pundits got the election wrong. Does President Trump realize he won the election, he got fewer votes, he won the election, he is the president now, for goodness sake. He doesn't have to keep banging on about Hillary Clinton. He's the president. It looks almost narcissistic, almost a bit childish to be talking the way he does in campaign mode when he's the leader of the free world.
Only to journalists who don't like him and have an agenda. Is he looking back? My gosh, I've been in this position for less than a month. We've done more work in 1 month than the prior administration did in 6 months. The number of things we have achieved, whether it's today with the coal miners pushing back on the anti-coal mining policies of the administration, whether it's the immigration reform, whether it's the modernization of infrastructure planning that we've released. It is incredible the amount of work we've already done, and to say that we're basking in a former glory, please be a little bit more factual yourselves, because otherwise you'll be accused of fake news as well.
So you agree with President Trump that his White House is a fine-tuned machine and is operating well?
Let me tell you one thing. I've never worked at this rarefied strategic level before. I'm a political appointee. I'm a commissioned official of the president's. It is incredible. I come into work every morning at 7 o'clock. I open the newspapers, and I can tell you that when I read a story that bears absolutely no resemblance to the issue I was involved in, I was in the room the day before when it was being settled, 8 out of 9 times it's fabricated, and all of these anonymous sources. I'm sad to say that you and your colleagues have fallen into this trap of fake news.
No, it's not fake news. We're trying to understand what is going on there. We're not making factual claims a lot of the...
Then why don't you just go to the sources themselves instead of to these crazy anonymous stories and there's leaks everywhere? Jeez Louise!
The time we're asking questions that you don't like.
President Trump in his conference yesterday said, no one asked me.
Nobody's giving me any phone calls.
Look, Michael
No,
Flynn...
not at all. You can ask away.
Right,
Ask away.
Well, why did Donald Trump say on Friday that he knew nothing about Michael Flynn, having spoken to the Russians about sanctions while he was president-elect? Why did he say that on Friday, and then on Monday we learned that President Trump had known about it for more than a couple of weeks?
You're obsessing on issues that aren't the point. I find
I'm asking
it
a
always
perfectly
interesting.
simple question.
No,
I'm not
you're
obsessing on it. I've asked it once.
It is.
I'm asking it once. Why did he say, I know nothing about that? And then on Monday we're here, he had known about it for 2 weeks. Why did he say that? It's a fine-tuned machine. You've said it yourself.
I said the White House is working as a fine-tuned machine, and it is. Your question was about this representation of there being a maelstrom in the White House, and I answered it factually based upon my experience. There isn't any disorder, any chaos. Some people in the media would like there to be, but there isn't.
Okay.
I'm inside the building, I can tell you. Now, what the president knew when, please ask him when you have an opportunity. I'm sure you have a BBC correspondent in the press room. I wasn't in that meeting with General Flynn.
Okay. Let me ask you one about foreign policy, because I know that's a particular interest of yours. This is a fine-tuned machine, you say. Yesterday, the president said, you know, he's open-minded on different solutions to the issue of Israel and Palestine. Today, Nikki Haley, your ambassador at the UN, clarified to colleagues and other members there that the two-state policy remains the US objective. Why is there this constant confusion in which the president sort of speaks, someone then has to go around with a bucket and a shovel, picking up the pieces, trying to clarify to the allies around the world as to what is going on?
Your representation is just wishful thinking. If you didn't have an agenda-driven question list, it would be so much easier to have a better relationship with you. I mean, the bottom line is read the transcript. Read the transcript of what the president said after the meeting with the prime minister. It was unequivocal. We remain committed to our ally Israel, and any solution will have to be a solution that both sides come to. We're not going to intervene. You need to stick to the facts.
You didn't say that.
But I suppose the fact is, other people, not just me, other people were deeply confused and reported, not because they have...
I think you're deeply confused because you don't like what Donald Trump had to say.
He said exactly what Sebastian has just inferred, that whatever the two states come up with is the plan, or two parties to come up with, not a two-state solution. Whatever the two parties come up with is what Donald Trump has decided to back and support. It's very simple.
And as Benjamin Netanyahu pointed out, there are two prerequisites to peace. One is that the Palestinians cannot raise their children to want to kill Jews. And number two,
to stop trying to destroy Israel.
Number two is that the Palestinians must agree that Israel is real and has a right to exist.
That's good.
Have an agenda that there was a change in US policy. Nikki Haley felt it necessary, as your ambassador to the UN, to clarify. Now, why are these kinds of mistakes being made? Just before you answer that, another one today. Rex Tillerson was in a meeting with the French foreign minister. Afterwards, the French, by the way, you think the policy is worrying and confused, said they thought your policy was to tear up the Iran deal or to look again at the Iran nuclear deal. Rex Tillerson had to say, no, I didn't say that. It just gives a complete picture of utter shambles in which people are constantly having to correct or misstatements or things that have been misunderstood. Is it everybody else's fault, never your own?
No, not at all. It's just there is an agenda-driven distortion. I mean, come on, this is a media, mainstream media, that has accused us in the White House of being anti-Semitic and white supremacists. I mean, this is how bad it is. This is a White House where Jared Kushner, an Orthodox Jew, is key to the decision-making process, and you have the audacity as the mainstream media to talk about anti-Semitism. That's why you want to spin it, and we're not going to stand for it.
Just tell me where the BBC, CNN, or the New York Times have, as a fact, said this is an anti-Semitic regime.
Look at the response to the Holocaust Memorial Statement. I ask your viewers to Google it now.
Right. That's quite different to saying.
Not at all. Not at all.
Anti-Semitic.
Not at all.
It's quite different to saying.
That's what the response was. That for some anti-Semitic reason, we didn't explicitly use the word the Jewish Holocaust. It's absurd. It's absurd.
When the president says he hates the press, it's out of control. Wait. I never said anything on those terms. I'm not.
I never did. I think somebody's going to have to come behind and
Yes, go ahead.
When the president says the press is out of control, when you stand there and basically, for most of your answers, just say we have an agenda, we're fake news, we're trying to pull you down.
And prove it.
When you
You're
say
using
that,
Brian Stelter as a paragraph.
Is it the case you plan no action against the press? The press will carry on and do its job and be allowed to do its job exactly as it always has? Or are there measures you're intending to take? I'm just asking if there are measures.
This is fake news.
No, it's not news at all.
You have just committed fake news.
Okay.
You are implying that there's some intent.
I'm asking because the president.
Well, what are you positing?
I'm asking if the president has any actions in mind. He said today it is out of control. We need to talk about this, and he hinted that he wasn't going to put up with it. Now that might mean something as innocuous as I'm going to communicate with everybody via Twitter, or it might mean I'm going to think about other things I can do. Is it the latter, or is it the former? All it means is that we are going to continue to do what we did so very, very successfully, and the thing that put the former real estate billionaire into the White House, and which is to break your sense of monopoly on the news. The mainstream media no longer gets to monopolize news, and we are going to go straight to the audiences, whether it's through Twitter, whether it's through YouTube, it doesn't matter.
Chicks.
We are not going to put up with distortions and people who believe they have a monopoly on the truth simply because they have 60 years of a letterhead above them. Not going to happen. We're going to communicate with our audiences, domestic and international. That's all the president meant.
That's what he meant. Sebastian Gorka, nice talking to you. We don't like being quite so much the centre of attention. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
Was there any good questions in there?
No.
Did they ever? Here's the thing. Every time that Donald Trump gets a question from the press, from the mainstream media, whenever anybody goes on these programs,
it's always about two things: Russia or the media.
It's always negative. At Barack Obama, we received 100% media kissing his little white and black tushy. All right? They did. And Trump, that's what he said in his news conference, which is what we want to talk about.
He said that the hatred
and the virtual, you can hear it coming from this very nice man in the BBC. I believe he probably is a very nice chap. But you know what? He's got an agenda, and his boss has an agenda, and I agree with you guys over there in England that this BBC people...
In the UK, we don't like to be called
I'm sorry, Great Britain. Don't forget Scotland and Ireland there, right?
Can't forget the Irish.
Can't forget the Irish over there. I'm sorry. Over there.
The point is that Trump had said that that they are just being so full of hate. He said, listen, I don't mind bad news. You can tell bad stories about me all day long. It doesn't bother me. But when you come at it with this agenda, this biased agenda of hatred, instead of just, and this is one thing, because we've had so many people come at us, like a lot of you wanting to know, you guys didn't vote for Trump. Are you still pro-Trump? What is your listen.
Pro-truth.
Leah and I are pro-truth. One guy commented and he said, well, I'm just so sorry that you guys have caught on to the Trump virus. And I said, well, actually, it's not us that have caught on to the Trump virus. If anything, I said, if he were watching our show, he's caught on to the resistance chick virus. Meaning, Leah and I have had the same set of beliefs from day one. In the beginning, Trump looked kind of like he had just turned his back on the Democratic Party and just wanted to, and I don't think that he really even knew why he was running. I don't even think that he thought that he could win. He had pro-choice views. He had a lot of Democratic views. He had Democratic friends. He was friends with the Clintons. But guess what? All the American people and people across the world started praying for him. And we have seen talking to him. We have seen a literal change in
This is
Donald
the first
Trump.
president in a long time, not in ever, because we've had some really good presidents. And I'm sorry, Trump, I can't compare you quite yet to
The founding fathers.
Adams or
You never know.
Washington.
Might get there.
We had a lot of presidents who listened to the people.
Yeah.
And this president was
He
going
is
to Twitter and going on YouTube and just going straight to the people, because if this BBC guy were to get the news conference and they didn't put it up fully and they just gave snippets, the whole angle, watch MSNBC right now, watch CNN.
Actually, don't.
They're crazy. It's entertaining, as somebody said. They're going nuts. It's so fun to watch. They don't know what to do.
But I want to get back to this point just so that you guys can kind of understand where Leah and I are coming from. And I know a lot of you are super, super, super Trump fans. And you want us to be there with you. But I think it's better that we are not. And here's why. We're going to bring you completely unbiased views of what he is doing. And I am telling you right now, 99% of the things that he is doing right now are spot on. So we're not giving you this bias like, oh, we're just Trump fans and we're just on the bandwagon. You know, we will bring it to you when he's doing things wrong and we'll bring it to you when he's doing things right. It's that simple. The news is supposed to do that and they aren't.
Right, there's no positive right now. And here's the thing, all I have to do is see the BBC and CNN and how angry they are, and that really just tells me, well, Trump must be doing something right.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
But, you know, I'm recognizing that the people who support Trump are my dear
And the enemy
friends.
of my friend is my enemy.
Yeah. And all the Trump people in America are the kindest, most loving people in the whole world.
And we're finding that from the Brexiters and the different people in UK. They're so supportive. They're like, you know, always, we are supporting you. We're supporting President Trump. We're supporting. And I have actually we've had so many comments from you guys that are saying, I'm feeling a bond with America unlike I have ever felt before. And we have Americans that are saying the same thing. I'm feeling a bond with Great Britain and
a lot of
the
people
UK.
have said that I feel closer to America than I do to other parts in Europe. And I mean, there's one thing is a language thing, but the truth is, our founding fathers were from England and from Scotland and from Ireland.
Right.
And they're great minds. Here's the hive mind over here, these great minds that came out of the Protestant Reformation. You've got, you know, John Bunyan and William Penn, and you've got Cook, and you've got Locke, and you've got Blackstone, and all these great English minds. They just took, the reason you feel a bond with us is because, no offense, they took your ideals, the great ideals of freedom and personal liberty.
We were able to
and
start
natural
with
rights,
a clean slate.
and start with a clean slate and use those great ideals and those great principles and form a government here in America based on those English common law rights of mankind, one nation under God. So that's why we are connected. We are connected. I mean, like, you know, continents connect and everything like that. So
Underwater.
all right, this has been Resistance Chicks.
All right, signing off. Where it is not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell so you get notifications and emails whenever we put out new videos. And find us on Facebook where you can interact with us on a daily basis. God bless, and we'll see you back here in a minute.
Was cold, all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you called my name.